Grande Fund Development Director Tim Swope, and nurse educator and memory care specialist Pam Reese. Welcome to our show.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Nice to have you with us. Pam, you're a nurse educator and you specialize in memory care, dementia, Alzheimer's.
I do.
How did you get in? What was your personal interest in
Sure.
focusing on that?
So I have been an executive nurse in senior care my whole career for 38 years. And I have worked with Alzheimer's, memory care, senior health, developed programs, built memory care programs, developed training methodologies, thought I knew everything. And then my mother was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. And that's when I realized I really didn't know anything. From that experience, I really thought I could cure my mother. So I dug into more research about Alzheimer's and related dementias, talked to neurologists, talked to specialists, gerontologists, studied programming, universities that are doing specific researches, and realized that there's not a drug, even though there's a lot of research today and there is a new medication out, but that there's no cure for this disease. And so what I took away from all of that was that there's a portion of the brain, a region called the amygdala, about the size of an almond, deep inside the temporal lobe, that remains intact up until nearly the end of the disease. And that is the region where our emotions come from, our feelings. And over the years, scientists have realized that this plays a bigger part in our emotional behavior. Because of that, I learned that the more we tap into what's that Alzheimer resident is capable of, the more quality of life that we can give them, and a more quality of life that we can give the caregivers of that person. And so I developed a program called Awakening the Subconscious of the Alzheimer's Patient, called the ASAP program. Recently implemented the program at Vista Grande into the memory care. Part of that program is creating an organic positivity. And I know that sounds ominous, but literally creating color and space that's organic and putting that person in an environment that is always positive, always upbeat, and always very natural.
And that's going to be really hard because those who I know with Alzheimer's, those who have cared for those with Alzheimer's, it becomes a very negative experience.
Yes.
The patient just becomes more negative, more withdrawn, more distant. It's got to be very frustrating for you, as you thought you might be helping your mom. She just got worse.
Yes, 100%. The common thought of caregivers or family members, unfortunately, is that I'd almost rather a mom or dad have cancer, because I see the progression of this disease, and you're preparing. Unfortunately, with Alzheimer's, that person looks the same for a very long time, but their personality is changing, their memories are changing. And so as you sit and communicate with your loved one, you're not communicating with the person that you've always known. And so everyone says you lose your loved one twice. You lose them first to their lost memories, and secondly to their impending death.
We'll talk more on that in just a moment. But
Yes.
Tim, I want to make mention that Vista Grande Villa is a nonprofit
Correct.
Health organization, life care. And one of the things you do, you've got a number of initiatives that you're in fund development for, including this Alzheimer's care program.
Yes. So I've joined Vista about coming up on 4 years in 2 weeks. And for the first 47 years of its existence, Vista did not do any fundraising, or very little. And they decided, after taking a look at the population, the need in Jackson, that it's getting harder and harder economically for people to afford the type of quality care that we provide. And so they started fundraising, brought me in to develop a fundraising culture and program that will make this accessible to Jackson residents today and well into the future. And so,
Yeah, with the change in management, last year you changed, you don't have to have a lot of money to move into Vista Grande.
so there's been some changes with that. Yeah, there's a preconceived notion that you have to be very wealthy, and really Vista is open to the community. There are ways for us to serve people at all levels, and we found ways to do that.
And those with memory issues, you have a special program, it's a special section of
It's a
Vista.
special section, yes. We have a memory care unit that is designed specifically for those with Alzheimer's. Our staff have been specifically trained. In fact, all staff of the community have been specifically trained to this program. And it's an approach of care. And I would call it a relational centered care. Pulling out the most positive of every day, learning how to communicate with the resident, because caregivers, families find it very difficult to know how to communicate. How do I get through? Well, you may not, but you can trigger and solicit emotions that help in that process.
Well, let's take a look at the slides you brought. This describes the memory care, and I was curious about one thing.
Okay.
I've heard that people with Alzheimer's, you can trigger their memories with playing music, like
Yes.
Benny Goodman and Frank Sinatra.
Yes, you can.
And it's been very successful.
Yes.
Is that the same part of the brain?
It is. So they may forget the trigger, but they certainly remember the emotion. It's
It's
interesting.
the emotion. So communicating with Alzheimer's patients, it's an emotional, you have to make an emotional connection.
Yes, you
Okay.
make an emotional connection that's positive. This picture we're looking at right now is our nature room, our green room, and you can see it's very comfy, very cozy, very home-like. And then our residents were playing. Our kitchen, we have residents participating in cooking breakfast, lunch, dinner, baking a lot, and it's very participatory.
And having these facilities, Tim, so there's various ways that people can support through grants, annual giving,
Yes.
sponsorships.
Yeah, we do it all. We have an annual fund that we raise every year. This year we're targeting $250,000, and part of that goes into a fund that's directed by residents as to how we spend it, which is kind of unique for a nonprofit. But we're very fortunate. Some of the things that we're doing, including ASAP, are very interesting to grantors, and so we had a lot of luck with securing grants. We do sponsorships throughout the year. We have all kinds of things going on, and then we also have bequests. People participate in annual giving, and
And
those
it
are
is-
our biggest gifts.
It's expensive for Alzheimer's care.
Very expensive.
Very expensive. Yes.
You have to have 24/7
24/7,
supervision.
yes.
Yeah. And you've got some beautiful facilities, and I know you're going through some renovations.
We are going through
Yeah.
renovations all the time, and we
Yeah.
have big renovations going on right now
Yeah.
in our independent living, but in our memory care, it's geared towards home and comfort and a positive feel good.
Yeah.
And
Well,
you
that's-
can see the children in the pictures
Yeah, it's-
where we promote having children come in, staff's children.
It doesn't even have to be the person's grandchild.
Does not, because there is a natural connection between the person with Alzheimer's and children most of the time.
Yeah, I
That's our
remember when I was in
target.
high school, we used to go to visit the nursing home.
Right.
It's a lot
Yes.
different now. I mean,
It
it
is.
was a different experience for
Yes,
us.
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
And our objective is to take all the institutional feel away
Yeah.
and to make you feel comfortable. And in our memory care unit, you would feel very comfortable yourself just sitting in one of the rooms and reading or listening to music, and that's our goal.
And you have a lot of units dedicated to memory care.
Yes, we have a very large unit that can house a lot of memory care residents.
What does ASAP stand for?
Awakening the subconscious of the Alzheimer's patient.
And you're a clinician, you actually work with patients
Yes.
in addition to educating others.
Yes, so I'm a registered nurse. I'm also the senior vice president at Kahale, who manages Vista Grande Villa, and I have worked with memory care residents my whole career.
Nice. So
And I have worked at caregivers from home as well.
So for a caregiver, to see, you actually, as a caregiver, you see results.
I do.
That's pretty cool.
Yes, you absolutely see how positive influencers remain with that person for a longer period of time. And it's very connecting. So,
Were you able to practice this with your mom?
absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. I pulled out no stops. I did it all and realized this is it. This is what we have.
And your experiences, you actually wrote a book,
I did. Gigi,
About-
are you in there?
and Gigi's your mom.
Gigi is my mom. My mom passed away, and then it's Mia learns about Alzheimer's, and Mia is my granddaughter, and I have 4 grandchildren, and they were a important part of my mother's life till the very end of her Alzheimer's journey.
That's good to hear.
And so I was compelled to write a book explaining to children why their grandparents are changing in a way in which a child can understand and comprehend.
I never even thought about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Tim, having this program to talk about when you're educating people that might be interested in supporting the program, it's got to be a big help.
It's huge. I've been raising money for 30 plus years, and internationally, nationally, and statewide. And having an important mission is the most important part of fundraising. And right now in our society, this is one of the most pressing problems that we face. And there isn't anybody watching today, there isn't anybody in this room that hasn't been touched by Alzheimer's dementia. And then if you couple it with kind of the economics of today, our generation is ill prepared for the costs that are coming, and so we've got to find ways, to make this available. There's great, life should be the best it can be till you take your last breath, and so our mission is to make sure that happens, and that really comes in handy when I talk with people about why it should be an important part of their philanthropy.
Well, it's really neat to hear about the program and the expansion and the growth and the
Yes.
renovations all happening at VGV.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks for coming
Thank
in.
you.
Thank
This
you
is
so
great.
much.
Yeah.
You bet. And you can contact Vista Grande Villa for more information, and these folks are available, and they've got a whole team anxious to hear from you.
Right.
Perfect. Thank you
Thank
so
Thank
much.
you so much. From Vista Grande Villa, nurse educator and memory care specialist, Pam Reese, and fund development director, Tim Swope. Next on the show, we've got our next